Most construction companies I know take pride in what they build, but they struggle to explain why their company is different. They say things like, we do great work, we build long-term relationships, and that's true, but it's not enough to stand out anymore. In today's episode of Construction Genius, I'm joined by branding expert Justin Beganek, who for nearly 3 decades has worked with architecture, engineering, and construction firms, uncovering what truly makes them unique and turning that into insight that can be used for consistent messages that attracts top clients and top talent. Here's one powerful question we'll explore, one that every construction CEO should be asking their clients. If our company disappeared tomorrow, what would you miss the most? That question alone can unlock the true value of your brand and show you what really makes your company worth remembering. If your proposals, website, and job site culture don't tell the same story, or if you're tired of being one of a dozen bids that doesn't stand out, this episode is for you. This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership. Justin, welcome to Construction Genius.
Thanks for having me, Eric.
Give us a quick introduction. Tell us about the work that you've done with construction companies over the years, who you are, what you do, all that kind of stuff, please.
So I'll start with the easy one. Mercury Creative Group is the organization that I founded 27 years ago, and our focus is a strategy-first, brand-led organization. We do a lot of work in the AEC market, so architecture, engineering, construction, heavy in the construction side. And what we do there is help those organizations understand who it is they help the most, and how do we help find more of them? So really kind of getting back to the heart and soul of the uniqueness of their business and the uniqueness of their clients' needs, and how do we connect with them via messaging and visuals to help them find more of them, because those are typically the ideal clients that they really like working with and they make the most money with. So our work is heavy kind of aligning leadership teams, who they are and who they help the most, and how to go out to the world and talk in a way that they connect with that ideal buyer.
Okay, excellent. So let's just get right to the point. A lot of owners of construction companies, they're builders, and they see branding as just fluff. How do you connect brand work directly to revenue, margin, or long-term business value?
It's a little bit in intangibles. Branding is a long game, but when I connect the success and the return on the investment is when you do the work up front and you do it right, your leadership team down to administrative staff to people out on the field know what's unique about your organization and how to go talk about it to their peers in a way that's consistent and relevant to the person that they're talking to. The fluff part is it's not your logo, it's not your website, it's not the apparel, it's the sum of all of those things. So getting organizations to understand that the responses in their RFPs, how they show up in those pitches, how the equipment looks on field, whether it's clean, whether it looks old, is it a shoddy logo or 2 different logos, one from 30 years ago and one from 10 years ago, hard hats, everything, having that look also be consistent, as well as the voice and the messaging. That's the win. When it all comes together, that's a strong, successful brand.
Okay, so let's just back up slightly. Give us a succinct definition of the word brand.
It's what other people think of you and how they talk about you. So it's an emotional connection. It's in their guts, it's in their minds, and it's how I describe my experience with you, for example, is really the brand that I'm walking away with.
So if I hear you correctly, you're saying that your brand is not what you say or even necessarily what you do, but how you're perceived
Correct.
By others?
Interesting. Yes. Consider, we've all had this. You've had a bad experience at a retail location or customer service. you are leaving with sort of a bad feeling, a bad taste in your mouth, all of those things. That's part of your brand. So that experience adds up, and it's all of the experiences, all of the touch points, all of your people, all of your communications, all those things add up to your brand story or your brand meaning. And it's held in the hearts and souls and minds of the audience, the prospects that you're looking to attract.
Okay, so some of this seems or sounds a little esoteric. It's like, I'm here to build projects. People say we do great work and we have long-term relationships. Why isn't that enough to stand out? And what should a construction company be saying instead?
So first of all, the long-term relationships have been built on trust and credibility and delivering a product and a service, probably consistently, having a nice one-on-one. That has been working really well for the organization. And most organizations can survive pretty well just doing that. When you step it up and bring all of your communications and all of your touch points together so they're consistent and they really come back to one essential value, that's when that brand is much more powerful and you're attracting more people to work with, but you're also attracting more people to come work for you because they understand your organization and want to be part of your community, your organization. And now I'm losing the question. I think come back to the question for me.
No, let me come back to it. Yeah. So again, I'm saying, hey, listen, I do great work. We have long-term relationships. Why isn't that enough to stand out? What should a construction company be saying instead?
I think they have to find their one thing that they really are unique on and continue having really long-term relationships. But we'll talk to those people and find out what is that one thing that really stands out, because that's the heart of their brand and the background, if you really think about it.
So you say one thing, right? But then construction is incredibly complex. So I've got to get work, I've got to plan work, I've got to build the work, I've got to do it safely, productively, I've got to do it in a way that makes me money. So you say one thing, and I've got all these things going along in my head every single day. How do I get to that one thing, and why is that one thing important?
If you can get your essential value down to a word or two, that way everybody within your organization knows how to take it and use it in their own way to be genuine and authentic and carry on that consistency. So no matter who in your organization, they're saying the same thing. So that consistency leads to credibility.
Okay, so how do I get to that one thing then? What's the process that I might go through to discover what that one thing is?
Bring someone in like us, or bring someone in that is an outside consultant, an outside perspective to talk to leadership and talk to clients to figure out, why do you work with this company? What stands out? Why have you stayed with them for a very long time, for example, if it's a long-term relationship, and build their value proposition. And then from that, if you have conversations with your clients, they're going to tell you something that we were going to be able to pick out and stitch as your one thing. And so getting that one essential value extracted from it, then it gets everyone inside the company clear on what is unique about us and how can I talk about it. And then that leads to that consistency. And it helps us determine what we don't need to be doing, how we can really stay focused and stay on our purpose.
Think about the last time you promoted someone into a leadership role and it failed. Why did it fail? I can tell you one reason. People know how to build projects, but they don't know how to build and lead teams of people. Construction comes with its challenges that only insiders truly understand. Generic leadership training doesn't cut it. You need a program to train your leaders built specifically for construction professionals, led by an industry expert. And my online course, The Shift, is exactly that course. It has 5 modules. It'll teach your people how to control their calendars and reduce stress and embrace chaos and accomplish their critical tasks. It will teach them the 3 essential messages they have to communicate every day in order to motivate and lead their team effectively. It'll show them how to build and lead a high-performing team. Give them a framework for running effective meetings so they'll be able to solve problems in less than an hour, and also give them a higher perspective on their leadership that will enable them to work on the business and on their teams and not get stuck in the weeds micromanaging. So go out to my website, theshift.constructiongenius.com, read all about the course, and then enroll yourself and your leaders in the course, and I guarantee that it will transform your leadership. If it does not, you take the whole course and you didn't get benefit from it,
You just send me an email, eric@constructiongenius.com, and I will cheerfully refund you 100% of your money. I'm really confident this course will transform your leadership. So again, go out to the website, theshift.constructiongenius.com, learn more about the course, and start taking it today.
So let's just assume, just for the sake of conversation, that maybe I don't want to hire someone from the outside to help me with this, but I kind of get the idea. Give me 2 or 3 questions I should be asking my clients and 2 or 3 questions I should be asking my people in order to begin to get a sense of what that one thing is.
Yeah, I would start internally, work with your leadership team or people out on the field, and just have a conversation with them. Ask them, like, why do you think people keep coming back and working with us? That would be one question. If our organization was gone tomorrow, what would they say they missed the most? That's a very powerful question as well. I think the other question is, what do we need to do for you to go to our competitor?
Tell me about that. Why do you ask that?
I think you're trying to figure out what else they might be thinking about in their relationship with you, because there's so many things that go out to bid for RFPs. So you're competing against your peers. It'll help bring insight as to how they make decisions, what they're looking for when they're weighing out other organizations like that they're maybe competing against.
Why is it that, because we're talking about branding, so the first place my mind goes to branding is it's a function of my sales, right? It's how I present myself, so to speak. Why are you making the emphasis on the interviewing of people internally in terms of part of the process of helping you to understand your brand?
Yeah, I didn't actually finish. So I would take that information that you're talking with internally, like what is consensus? What are you hearing in answers to those questions? What is kind of consistent? Now go out to some of your favorite clients that have been with you for a while and ask those same questions. And you'll start to see where there might be gaps or where there might be a lot of consistent things that they're saying that staff had said or leadership has said internally. And that's where you're going to start to see words, phrases, emotional words. That's why they stay with this organization. And when you ask the question, like, if we were gone tomorrow, what would you miss the most?
Yeah.
You're going to put that person across from you, kind of, especially on the client side. It's going to take them a little while to answer. And what they share with you is going to be extremely vital. So that's where you're really getting to know, like, this is what we're really good at and what we're really unique for and why they stay with us.
Yeah. I have a recommendation for the audience. The way to go about doing this is if you do it in person, what I would encourage you to do is to record the conversation and then to transcribe that so that you can really spend some time working with that and thinking through it, because that'll really help you when you're looking for those themes that Justin is referring to there. No,
I would add, with like the use of Fathom or Zoom, you can do this on a recording like this or even with a phone call.
Yep.
And start bringing all of those conversations into one and start to have chat, have AI sort of help figure out what are the 3 things that stand out or make us unique.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was going next, is because you then take those transcripts and you develop some prompts in AI that'll help you to analyze the transcripts and look for themes. That's an excellent suggestion there, Justin. What's interesting to me, though, is that you're positioning this idea of understanding your brand, not only in terms of winning new work from clients, but it sounds like you're using it as a means of recruiting and then retaining people as well. Is that right?
Absolutely. Think of it as your workplace culture. We all have a culture, whether it's good or bad. The ability to have an established brand and an established story that you can go out to the market, you're going to be able to attract the right people to work for you. And that's also a huge win, is when people are like raising their hand, like, I want to come work for this company. I like what they're saying out in the world. I see them on sites. I'm competing against them, for example, with my current organization. That story and that unique value that is consistently shared and shown is a huge attractor. So this is where the return also comes back from the earlier question. This work over time done really well builds up your organization's brand or story or who you are. So they self-align. They want to be part of that organization.
So let me ask you, someone might be thinking, okay, we're looking for that one unique, one essential value, you could say. But what if what my customers are looking for from me is not necessarily what my employees are looking from me. What if there's a misalignment there in some way?
That's always going to be the case, I would say. I would bring back to your organization is going to have 3 to 5 core values. Those core values, if you add all of that up, are going to really kind of talk a little bit more about your culture and what is it like to work within this organization and be part of that team, part of that organization. Your essential value on an outward facing side is more about attracting, for the most part, prospects, clients, to make movement there. But there is going to be consistency in your essential value, your one thing, and those core values.
So then as I'm thinking through that, and let's say you're talking to your clients, you're talking to your customers, and there's things that you hear that are not corporate speak, if you know what I mean. And I know a lot of construction companies, they're tremendously competitive, they're tremendously driven, and they're not always the easiest places to work, but for the right people, they're the right places to work. And how do you genuinely express that, what your true culture is, without sort of succumbing to corporate speak that's sort of generic, if you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, now here's a perfect opportunity to look at the team within your organization and identify who are 7 to 10 of our team members that we really appreciate. They do great work. They have grown. They are champions of our organization. They're connectors, all those things that are there. They really fit within your core values. Now listen to them, ask them why they're staying with this company, right? Why do you like working for us? So flip the question just a little differently to them. Again, you're going to see some consistent words, comments, phrases on why they like to be part of this organization. That's your culture. That are your core values should be screaming through that, and run that back through your core values. Do they align? If not, is this opportunity for leadership to modify those core values? Again, having conversations both with your people, your team, and having conversations with your clients, and even clients you didn't get. If you can get a conversation with them, they're going to tell you a really meaty, rich information on why they didn't go with you or why they went with you and why they stay with you. Same thing with your team members, your employees, even your subcontractors. Like, why do they keep coming every year? Why do they want to work for us and not a competitor? Take them out for a beer, take them out for lunch, take them out for a barbecue, have that conversation. You're going to get really rich information in a short amount of time.
Yeah, I think when you do this exercise, you should be prepared to be surprised by what you hear.
Yes.
Because the reason why people do business with you is not necessarily the reason that you think.
Yes.
Yeah.
But right there, think about that. If you're a CEO of a 3rd generation construction company and what you think your clients keep coming back to you for is not at all what you're hearing from them, that's clarity. That is it's time to celebrate now. How do you take those insights and do something with it? So that value that they're saying or that story that they're telling you, how can you package it now and put it out into the marketplace so you're going to attract more of those clients, more of those organizations to work with?
So let's talk about that. So you have this data, and let's say you've managed to synthesize it in some way, simplify it, and get some clarity. I'm looking at my logo. I'm looking at my website. There's some sort of disconnect there. And again, is branding just logo and website? Where shall I start after I've got this clarity?
Yeah. Again, I'm in the industry, and branding is confused in our own industry and explained differently. So I totally get it. Brand is, again, umbrella, and it's very large. So you were talking about your website and your logo, and you, like, for example, they're both different. That's a problem. Because if a prospect sees that there's inconsistencies in your messaging and your logo and your colors, they're super savvy. They can sense, like, is this company not got it together? Like, is that going to be a reflection of the service or the product that they're going to provide? So,
do you think they actually have? So that's interesting, right? Because you said we all run across brands where there's a disconnection, right, within the brand itself.
Yeah.
And we may not necessarily consciously then associate it with a disconnect in the way services are delivered, but it sounds like you're saying there's an unconscious thing there that may go on.
Yeah. I think with technology and the advancements in our screens and our phones and the ability to be connected and the experiences that we're seeing virtually, digitally, we are much smarter and like subconsciously analyzing and criticizing constantly. And that's, if you have a really strong brand and you're consistent and they're seeing the same thing over and over, that's credibility and trust. So that's how some of the big brands are really winning today.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right, quick break to talk about my book, Construction Genius. This is what I want you to do. Go to Amazon, search for the book, read all of the 5-star reviews, because there's a ton of them. Over 50 to be precise. And the reason I want you to read them is because real people wrote those reviews who've actually read the book. And it'll give you an idea of why you should go and buy a copy right now on Amazon. And here's the deal. If you purchase 10 or more copies for your company, and then send me an email, eric@constructiongenius.com, I'll come in via Zoom and do a 1-hour Q&A and a bonus training session with your team at no charge. I normally charge $4,500 for an hour of my time. And again, for you, I'll do it at no charge if you buy 10 or more copies of my book. And the reason you should buy it is all in the title. It's effective, hands-on, practical, simple, no BS, leadership, strategy, sales, and marketing advice for construction companies. So if you're in the construction industry, this book is for you. So you can get it on Amazon. You can also get it on Audible in the audio version as well, narrated by yours truly. And I know you'll really enjoy it. So go out and get the book. And now back to the interview.
So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. What should a brand guide actually do for a construction company? And first, tell us what a brand guide is.
Yeah. And again, my interpretation might be a little different than others. A brand guide is the foundational document for every organization, small or large, construction or non-construction. And within that brand guide, there has to be, first and foremost, old-fashioned value proposition. A value proposition is, who are you? Who do you work with? What is it that they need? What is it that you do differently? Who do you compete with? And what is your differentiator? How are you unique? That takes time to get there. And that's an internal facing structure of 4 sentences that typically isn't grammatically correct, but it really helps everyone come together with clarity and alignment on who are we and who do we serve.
Yep.
Out of that, you need to put together a story around who is our ideal audience or our primary audience that we're looking to attract.
Yep.
And this is where you go out and you talk to those customers and kind of bring all that together. So who are they? Put a name to that person. What are their pain points? What is their need? Why do they keep coming? Where do they hang out? Do they have a family? Do they have kids? Do they like to snowmobile? Do they like to fish? All of those things help us, you and me, help identify more of those. Your brand voice. How should we come across in the industry? Should we come across as professional? Should it be playful? Should it be stoic? Those words are also very helpful. And then 3 key messaging pillars. What are 3 messages that we say all the time and that shows up consistently in our RFPs, in our videos, in our website?
One of the fears that construction companies have is that you're talking about this one essential value, this one thing. And when we're asked to be specific like that, we're thinking, hold on a minute. If I'm that specific, aren't I going to miss out on some project opportunities? If that's what my brand's all about, what if I don't attract the people that I'm actually looking for because it's too specific or too narrow? How do you address that?
Well, you're either super specific and very clear to whomever it is you're looking to connect with, have them buy your services, products, etc., or you're everything to everyone and you don't stand out whatsoever. So just because you're super specific doesn't mean that you are going to lose work or lose relationships, connections. They're actually going to strengthen. They're going to be better. You're going to align with the people that really understand you, get you, and need you.
Interesting. I've heard it said that the best marketing not only attracts people, but it also repels them.
Yes.
What do you think about that? Is that something that's true?
Totally. And that's what you want. You don't want to spend money on having your team do RFPs and have conversations with prospects or cities, organizations that aren't going to do business with you, being very specific and niche down helps you, again, align, and people just self-align with you because they're kind of coming to you wanting to work with you already.
Yeah, it's interesting. What do you think the role of genuineness or authenticity is when it comes to branding? And again, this is because some people get scared. I think they're scared in the business sense to be authentically who they are because they think that might in some way limit their business.
Yeah. And just construction in general is a little more conservative. So they're a little probably afraid to actually show their colors and show like who we are. And that's a bummer. And that's a little bit of a disservice. Being genuine and authentic is what more and more with everything going on in the world today, we as humans want. We're emotional beings. We connect emotionally. So the more real you can be and share that authenticness, genuineness, how you're feeling, you're going to connect in more deeper ways, more memorable ways. That relationship's going to go further and farther.
Interesting. So let's say I have a sense that maybe there's that disconnect. Either my brand is out of date, perhaps, or there's a inconsistency or disconnect in my branding. What are some first steps that I can take in order to begin to get that unity of branding, identify that one essential value, begin to make progress to establishing a brand that not only resonates with clients, but then also helps to attract and retain employees?
If you're a leadership team or head of marketing, I would start just looking at all of the communications, all print, digital, everything that's out there. Look for what's the logo on? What is our tagline on? How are we talking? Is it consistent? Then start talking to people within leadership. How do they describe the organization? And again, individual conversations, Eric, like what are they saying? Take good notes, work that down to the rest of your team. That's where you need to start because you're going to start hearing inconsistencies and you're going to start hearing consistencies and be able to feel really good about what do we need to work on first. People associate brand and logo all the time. So if they're like having issues like revenue's down or we're not connecting, let's change the logo. Yeah. That's a very, very small part of it, but that's not going to change your organization in the direction you want to change it.
Okay, so then that's very interesting because I think one of the things that happens in these situations where you have an idea that your brand needs to change, but your company are not branding experts. And so construction companies can be afraid that they're going to waste a bunch of time and money with some outside organization who promises them the world and all they get is maybe a slick website. And that's not really what we're talking about here, is it?
No, you need to work with a professional group or your internal team to really understand the buying habit and process that you need to build so you can repeat it, master it, and repeat it. And then you're going to be able to identify within that process, what do we need to change on a marketing communication side? What do we need to change on presentations? How do we need to change different things that actually will make a difference and help us shorten that process? If it's from the minute you get a lead to a close, if it's a 2-year process, can we get that down to a year and a half? Can we get that down to a year? That's where they need to be thinking.
Okay. And it sounds like from the development of the brand perspective, you want to tap into people not only in the office, but also folks who are in the field, maybe even talk to your foreman and your laborers to kind of get an idea of what their perspective is on their experience working with the organization. Is that right?
Yeah. And asking them also, who else are you talking to on a regular basis that we could talk to that has an imprint of that organization's brand in their mind and heart? Because then again, going a little bit deeper to extend those conversations and do the research.
Okay, excellent. So tell us a little bit more, Justin, about your company, how people can get in touch with you, what it is that you do.
We do a lot of the things that we just talked about right now. So coming back to the brand work, helping organizations identify their value proposition, their key messages, who is that ideal person that's in the center of their bullseye? How do we help find more of them? We bring leadership together and get them clear on who it is they are, who they help the most, and help them figure out how to go to market successfully or go back out to market successfully to attract more of them, grow their revenue, grow their confidence in who they are, and also know what we should be spending our money on and where we can stop spending our money on. So that's what we do. Yes, we do in the end the creative, fun stuff, the logo and tagline and website and digital, you name it. But it's strategy first. That's where the right investment is. You can find us at mercurycreativegroup.com, and I'm Justin M. Baganek. You can see me a little bit there, Polish last name, on LinkedIn. Happy to have a conversation with anyone wherever they're at in this process.
Excellent. So in the show notes will be the links. If someone engages in this process, how long should they expect it to take? Let's assume that they're pretty diligent with it and they're working the process.
Sure. If we were to do a full comprehensive, and I'll describe what a comprehensive brand strategy work is if you are going to go through the strategy work and then update your logo, identity, and website, that's going to be about a 4 to 8 month process, depending upon timing of the group. If we're just doing just the actual strategy work, it's about a 10-week process. And that work can then be handed over sometimes to an internal department to take that rich information and put it into creative inspiration and creative tools.
Excellent. Excellent. So as we wrap here then, Justin, I'd just like you to end with one piece of advice for someone who is really sensing that something's up with their branding, their attraction of the right clients and the right people. What's the one thing that you would tell them to do immediately just to get started, just to kind of get them going?
Have the conversations. I would recommend they have the conversations internally with leadership, asking why do people hang out with us? Why do they keep working with us? And then go talk to your top 5 clients, take them out to coffee, take them out to lunch, and just have a real candid conversation. Ask the question, if we were no longer here tomorrow, what would you miss the most?
That's a great
And then
question.
just shut up and listen. Just let them dump on you.
Yeah, that's the key, right? Is to shut up and listen.
Yes.
That's awesome. Justin, thank you for joining us today on Construction Genius.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Construction Genius. Hope you found that 1% of inspiration to help you in the next few days. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes, share it with other construction leaders who you think would benefit, and always remember that the show is brought to you by Kick-Ass Meetings. I've been working with construction leaders since 2004, teaching them how to run extremely effective problem-solving meetings that gets their people collaborating, taps into their creativity, and to get yourself a free copy of the Kick-Ass Meeting Report, go to www.ericanderton.com/kickassmeetings. Grab yourself that free report, read it, use it in your business. You'll find it extremely useful. And thanks again for listening.